What is going on, guys? Predator458 here, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another viewer replay. As I sit and record this commentary and everything for this replay, I am having some pretty severe internet problems, more than usual. I'm getting my connection is basically really underperforming a lot of the time, and it's very much limiting the amount of online gaming I can do right now. And for example, Thursday last week, I didn't have a video for that simple reason. Is the time I did have to actually play, I wasn't able to get anything good enough to show. So I'm busy doing getting through all the replays that I've been sent in case I do need to use them. So not entirely sure when you'll see this, but yeah, hopefully that gets sorted out soon. But anyways, as you can see, we are with Stuff Rules, and you may remember that he was the very first person to have a replay featured on my channel. In that first replay, he was in the Colorado, and again it was on this map. However, this time he has progressed through the Colorado and is sailing out his North Carolina. Now, most of this game is not the greatest. He even said in his email, it's more really just the end. So I'd stick around and watch the end if you don't want to watch the whole thing. But I mean, the rest of the game is not bad. It's just one of those things where every time you seem to shoot at someone, they maneuver, or RNG is just not in your favor. But anyways, as you can see, it is a tier 9 game that he's in. In front of him, the only two enemies spotted at this point is an Izumo and an Ibuki, both tier 9. The enemy also has an Iowa, so he has been up tiered. Not always the best thing to happen, but you know, we all have to deal with it. So what can you do? And there we have an Atlanta and the enemy Iowa. The Atlanta's at 18 kilometers. It looks like the Iowa's maybe just on the very edge of gun range. Atlanta is sailing away, but we're just waiting for him to turn, and it looks like he's doing that. Is he going to keep that course though, or is he going to continue maneuvering? But Stuff Rules fires a full broadside to see if he can get his first hits of the game, and it doesn't look like he's going to do it. The Atlanta has turned away, and he has a friendly Iowa. Hello there, sir. So he begins to turn to starboard to avoid a collision with the Iowa, and that Iowa is stock. As you can see, it's got that stupid looking bridge area similar to the North Carolina, but nothing quite as cool as the fully upgraded sort of iconic look that the Iowa should have. But anyways, he fires a full salvo at the Atlanta, and I think there was a bit of a replay bug there, because his two front turrets fired before they were actually on target. And now he's got a Baltimore at 17, just waiting for that reload. Got another 12 seconds or so, 10 now, and Baltimore has now disappeared. Unfortunate. Ibuki is putting fire onto this friendly Iowa, who is at least upgraded. Not a stock Iowa this time. And just waiting for some targets to shoot at. And this Atlanta has popped back up, this time at just under 18 kilometers. Stuff Rules fires a full salvo, but it looks like as he fired, the Atlanta turned in slightly, so these may going to land a bit behind him. The lead's looking good, but he did manage to get a hit, single hit, for 1100 damage or 1300 damage. But you can see what I mean. This is just one of those games where as soon as you seem to fire on anyone, they start to maneuver. And it is incredibly frustrating when it happens. It's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to everyone out there who's played a battleship. Some games you just cannot get lucky because they just maneuver all the time. Other games, people seem to want to get citadels and sail in a straight line for you. Just depends what the universe has in store for you. And just got to keep an eye on this Iowa. He is now at 17 kilometers. And here comes some torpedoes. He is sailing straight towards Stuff Rules. But thankfully he doesn't seem to be shooting at Stuff Rules, because he could have had a fairly good shot on our little North Carolina. And fires a salvo at the destroyer. Being a bit optimistic, wasn't able to land anything. But the Iowa was taking some fairly serious hits, down to just under 55,000 health. We are still on full health at 66,000 hit points. There's a Mahan at 10 kilometers or less on the starboard side, and the Iowa is now getting really close. And this is not a situation you really want to be in a North Carolina. I've been in it when Iowa starts getting really close, especially when they're angled like this. And they're very difficult to do anything to, and in fact, 2 hits for 3.5, just under. But in fact, even if Stuff Rules angles the Iowa, will still be able to even Citadel him. We'll need to be lucky, but it is still possible. And I think he's trying to turn away now. Iowa's guns are thankfully going for the Megami, who takes a hit. Here comes some more salvos. He's got a good shot on the Iowa now. Fires off a full salvo, and how do these do? Do we have the blessing of RNG? Not really. 2 hits for 3.5 again. Garmi's just gone out of shot at the moment, so we don't quite know how much health he's got left. But the Iowa is charging hard, which is a big concern for a North Carolina captain. That armor is going to be very difficult to penetrate at that angle. And I think the Megami is now dead. So the Iowa is now turning away, flattening out, trying to get all guns on target. And at least his rear turret still had a shot in it. Manages to land 7 hits for 7,000. Only takes light damage from the Iowa, so thankfully there were no Citadel hits there. And more incoming fire from the Iowa. Able to angle and bounce those shells. Some more shots, and those go just over. And we are now mere seconds away from being able to fire another salvo at the Iowa, who is not angling terribly well right now. We fire 2 turrets, which were ready, and now goes the third. 6,000 and another 1,000, but mostly bounces from that final turret. But we are in a fairly good position because the Iowa is down to 27,000 health. Looks like he is trying to heal up, but we still have the majority of our health. And again, we're just going to turn, expose our broadside to get all turrets on target. The Iowa did take a torpedo there, and that has also kind of forced him to really flatten out and show his broadside. Unfortunately, those shells go a bit high and are not able to find the Citadel. Another turret fires, got more shells coming in, shells going out, and he manages to bag himself a kill, taking 2,700 damage from the final shots from the Iowa. But still, only lost 16,000 health in the process. Not bad at all. And here we got a Tirpitz at 13. It's going very slowly. The Stuff Rules fires the single turret that is ready. Got a pretty good grouping on those. Just got to see if they go too high or too low. 2 hits, and he manages to sink the Tirpitz. But that's not the only Tier 9 battleship. The Izumo is straight ahead on our port side and is 15 kilometers away. We also have an Otago at 15, and there is a cruiser of some description just to the right of the B cap point. There it is an Ibuki. So I think, if memory serves, Stuff Rules is now going to start heading towards the cap zone and try and defend it in case there are more ships with that Ibuki, and in case they'll try and get a quick cap off and end this match. But right now, I mean, things are not looking good for his team. They are trailing by 300 points. They have lost 4 cruisers and 2 destroyers, whereas the enemy team has lost 2 battleships and a destroyer. So that has given them a nice points lead, and indeed they have now started capping. There is a destroyer in the cap zone, but luckily for Stuff Rules, he does also have a destroyer, a cruiser just behind him, so he doesn't have to try and take on the Hatsuharu all by himself. The Ibuki has launched a spread of torpedoes at the battleship. I'm not sure what type of battleship it is. Is it a Tirpitz? Because there's... no, it's an Amagi. Okay, I just saw torpedoes going in and I wondered if it was a Tirpitz, but those were from the aircraft carrier. Hatsuharu down to 7,800 health. Stuff Rules is going to try his luck and fire his front two guns at the enemy destroyer. Leads looking good, but they were a little bit too high. The Hatsuharu turned in towards him. Ibuki down to quite low health. We just need one citadel, please. One. Just one. And that friendly Amagi seems to have been able to dodge all of the torpedoes. Hatsuharu is closing distance now. We've got the two front guns ready. Just waiting to see what he's doing, and then we're going to fire off a full salvo. Shells are looking pretty good. And managed to land 2 hits for 2,600 damage. 6 kilometers away from the Japanese destroyer. His torpedo tubes do look like they're pointing at us, and there may have been a splash in the water. Shots out, another 3 hits, 4,800 damage, and the Hatsuharu is now down to less than 500 health. And that cruiser behind us should really have gotten involved and see any shots coming in from him, but the Hatsuharu is finished off. More shells going in, and he manages to land a single hit and get 1,400 damage and finish off the Ibuki. Now, taking fire from the Otago. It's 13 kilometers away. This Ibuki is dead. Friendly Ibuki. I don't know why he stopped, or if he just didn't notice the torpedo planes coming in, but he made it quite easy for the enemy carrier captain to torpedo him and remove him from this match. But firing some shots at the Otago, who, as I said, was about 13 to 15 kilometers away. I don't remember if any of those shells hit. Doesn't appear so. But now we've got this Baltimore at 14.2 kilometers. And enemy, or should I say rather American cruisers, are something that I love to just charge straight at in a battleship, because obviously you don't have to worry about them torpedoes. And the closer you get, the easier it is to citadel them, give them less time to maneuver. Thankfully, the Baltimore is also playing ball. He's heading towards our North Carolina, and Stuff Rules just asking in chat if Baltimore has torpedoes. And he's fired, or someone's firing at the Baltimore. And this guy's on full health, so he's obviously been playing quite well until now. Atlanta, 10 kilometers, he fires a salvo at that. Atlantas do have torpedoes, so you do have to be careful there, although they're not quite as long range as the torpedoes you'd find on a Japanese cruiser. But now this is a very, very difficult situation. You can see Stuff Rules sending out an SOS to ask for assistance. 2 cruisers pummeling you with high explosive, especially when one of them is an Atlanta that reloads in 6 seconds or something stupid, is not a particularly good situation to be on. He is burning in 2 places, losing health fast. He's still got to wait 16 seconds till he can put out the fire. But he has his turrets ready to fire at the Atlanta. Going to send off a full salvo at 6 kilometers. Does RNG bless him? Not terribly, but you know, he took the Atlanta down to 5,000 health. Baltimore, what are you doing, son? And some more shots going to the Atlanta. I think Stuff Rules did mention that he had now focused up the Atlanta for his secondaries. But I mean, and there we go. They managed to finish off the Atlanta. The Baltimore is just being stupid right now. He fires a full salvo, 3 citadel hits, gets devastating strike and a double strike. Yeah, Baltimore. I just don't know what to say, because you know that is a valid tactic in a Japanese cruiser, because you would have torpedoed the shit out of this this battleship. But in an American cruiser, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You're gonna set them on fire? But I think this is largely it for Stuff Rules. There are still some pretty good aircraft torpedo dodges, so I will sort of skip through those before we head off to the results. And as you can see, we got some torpedo planes coming in. I think this first wave he may have not quite noticed in time. or in fact, actually, he was busy typing to his team. But he manages to turn into them, and I would have thought those would have armed in time, but he was lucky that they didn't. They says in chat, nom nom, eating the carrier's torpedoes. But I mean, well played to him. He managed to mitigate any damage from them, and things are still not looking terribly good for his team. The numbers are more even now, but their team is still about 160 points behind. So I think that is pretty much it. Otherwise, if it's not, I will... was he going to get some shots on this North Carolina? He's coming straight at him. So maybe that's not it. My apologies. North Carolina at 18.3 kilometers. Are very much angled. Here comes some dive bombers. And there's the Izumo as well. And 2 squadrons of dive bombers. This is not good. He's only got 11,000 health left. But he does only have a few seconds to wait until he can use his repair ability. Gets set on fire, takes some minor damage. Puts the fire out, and he uses his repair team to build his health back up to 19,800. So just under 20,000 health. Manages to shoot down a few planes, but nothing spectacular. There's the Izumo. Dangerous ship. If it manages to hit you. But not very good armor, obviously. So he's going to fire a full salvo. The Izumo is quite flat to stuff rules. So if RNG is kind to him, he might be able to get a Citadel. And those look like he just didn't give enough lead. And they kind of also land a bit short. And now we got this North Carolina at 13 kilometers who's turning to maybe try and get guns onto stuff rules. More planes coming in. Managed to shoot down some already. Are these guys going to get their torpedoes off? They are indeed. Going to take one from the first drop. And I think maybe just one from the second drop as well. Narrowly misses that bit on the very edge. Indeed, he does take 2 down to 7,000 health again. Only 2 minutes left of this match. Take some shots at the North Carolina, who is giving up an easy kill by not paying attention to stuff rules. It doesn't need very many good hits to finish him off. 3 hits, manages to do 5,600 damage. Just waiting for those reloads. And again, who's he going to shoot at? The rear turret has now come around and is ready to fire. And just in time, he's got all 3 turrets pretty much ready to fire at the same time. Fires off another salvo. Not the greatest dispersion, but he does manage to land another 2 hits for 4,000. And I'm not quite sure why this North Carolina is running away. Really am not. And they've just lost another ship. The Izumo finished off one of his teammates. But it is now turning to give him a nice broad target. Only got 14,800 health left. Fires a full salvo. More dive bombers coming in. Gets 3 hits and an incapacitation on the Izumo. His fighter is on station, and luckily was able to get there in time and disrupt the bomb drop. He uses his final repair party back up to 18,300 health. The Izumo is presumably trying to get himself a carrier kill because he's not shooting at stuff rules. And there's the match timer. 7 seconds left. He's trying to fire and see if he can bag himself a final kill in the last seconds. But unfortunately, it is not to be, and the round ends before he can finish off the Izumo. So, just moving on to the results. As you can see, it wasn't actually a bad match at all. 562,000 credits, 4,500 research. He got double strike, devastating strike, and Dreadnought, I think that last one is. He got 59 target hits, shot down 17 planes, got 2 incapacitations, 5 kills, 3 citadels, and defended a base 3 times. He didn't send in the team score page, but he did get 118,000 armor piercing damage and 959 from his secondary gun. So again, Stuff Rules, thank you very much for sending this in. I certainly enjoyed this gameplay, especially so let's say the second half when things really got interesting for you, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. If you'd like to send in a replay, check the description down below for the email address that you guys can send it to. Just try and include as many of the results screenshots as possible. But anyways, that is it from me. If you enjoyed, please feel free to give it a thumbs up button and consider subscribing for more World of Warships content, as well as Armored Warfare and War Thunder. But that is it from me. Thank you very much for stopping by. This is Predator458 signing off, and I will see you guys next time.